Hello, awesome sauces. It is Wilson back, and thank you, Solomon, for hopping in with your beautiful digital face. Do. Hey, and good news, everybody. I was actually just going to share something that I've been struggling, but my daughter has also been struggling. So my daughter just kind of got like a little bit of a fever that was going on yesterday. Just wasn't feeling well, so she ended up leaving school early. I will say like she just was feeling warm and feeling tired and like stomach and it was very sad. When she's cute and adorable like my daughter is, you just kind of automatically feel for her when she gets this sad face and pouty and stuff. Yeah, you just naturally feel for that. And then I just get a message from coach saying Hans fever has broken. She's 37.1 degrees Celsius now, so in the green zone. She still has a headache and isn't feeling the best. And so, continue, for those of you who knew, which was basically our Bible study group, as well as those who are like just checking in with Wilson every once in a while, because sometimes Wilson needs to check in. Really, like, she's just been feeling this for the last day. And so, awesome, praise God moment. She's feeling better. It's really good. Thank you, Solomon. I hope so too. A really cute thing that she did this morning. She came downstairs and she's like, Dad, I put some oil on. And like we have essential oils for like if they're tired, stuff like that. And so she'll like put it on her wrist. It's all comfy. It's cute. It's adorable. But what she did was she ended up actually anointing herself. Yeah, that's kind of weird, but it's a practice that we've done as a family that when like people are not feeling really well and we've done all that we can, so we give it to God, and so we use the essential oils because it says in the Bible to use oil, and you would gather the elders. Well, me and my wife were the oldest people in our house, right? And the ones who are centered in faith, and just we anoint them and then we pray over them. And she took it as like, well, I really need help. So she anointed herself and prayed with God in the bathroom while she was doing this. It was like, oh, that's adorable. Oh. It's like, hey, yeah, right? Like cute. It's adorable, Solomon. But it was really cool. And that's one thing that I was really blessed to be able to see was that our daughter had legitimately taken something that we were investing in, we saw as important, which is like just being real in her faith, and praying into a situation. And she took that and she's like, yeah, I can do that. It's like, that's pretty gosh darn cute. Yeah, smart kid, right? Smart kid. Hey, I didn't get to share this last week. I'm going to make sure I do this week because some of you are local. Some of you are not as hardcore far away as our man, Solomon here. Which, Solomon, we love you from a distance too, man. Like, you're doing it. You're rocking it. You're being super cool. Fantastic. Always will appreciate you. Just letting you know. But those of you who are local and you've been hearing about Walk to Mordor, I won't shut up about Walk to Mordor till even maybe after the first week of May. So if you're expecting me to be quiet on that, well, you're going to have to find somewhere else. But anywho, here's the cool thing. If you have been hearing it and you're like, man, I wish I could do some walking and stuff like that, guess what? You get to have that opportunity next Saturday, not this Saturday, because this Saturday, Wilson is hanging out with his kids, and we're going grocery shopping, and we're doing responsible family things. Yeah, I don't know why I got so serious, but I did. Anywho, here's what you're going to want to check out. This is our second breakfast event. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's going to be great. It's at Zwick's Park, which is here in Belleville. Fantastic spot, and we're going to be giving you handouts where if you want to walk, run, ride, if you have a horse, I'm impressed. One. Two, I don't know if the park would let you have a horse. Like, they let dogs there. If you have a horse, again, I'm mad props to you. Usually ride, we're talking about biking, but, it's kind of hard to translate a knighted warrior on a bicycle. that's not like one of those clip arts that you could just naturally find anywhere. So maybe next year we'll try and find something like that. I don't know. But as you see, then you can also eat. So we're gonna be having a pancake kind of like breakfast thing going on there. Yours truly is gonna make the pancakes, which I have yet to have someone tell me that I don't make a good pancake. So just saying, you should totally come on out. Come out for the pancakes. There's gonna be Starbucks coffee. So like, if you don't like the pancakes, you're gonna definitely like the Starbucks coffee. But then you can do distance, and then you give us your distance and your tally and all this kind of goodness that we can do to help increase the amount of distance that we're trying to do for Walk to Mordor. And then you can also, if you have not supported this awesome fundraising event, you can do so there in person. I'm going to have a scannable code that you can just do a pledge form. There will also be a coffee tin with lots of second breakfast signage around it. Second breakfast! It's like the spaceship Lego guy, except Hobbit style. But you can join in. You can do this. Jump on it. It's, again, this Saturday, or not this Saturday, next Saturday, April 27th, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Zwick's Park Pavilion by the playground here in Belleville. It's a good time. You don't have to throw money, but if you do, it'd be greatly appreciated. And it's a good time. Get to see we've got some of our participants coming on out there, because we're also handing out their t-shirts, so you get to see them in their cool swag, kind of stuff like that. We're looking at having some stickers for you guys to be able to have and keep, which these are like last year's sticker, ladies and gentlemen, was this beautiful beast. Yeah, you can somewhat see it. It's like my camera's not fully working with me, but it's a beautiful beast. Shirley Gurns, who's an amazing volunteer and connection here at Youth Unlimited, totally does that up for us, makes it so that we can be extra nerdy about stickers. You'll be able to get special stickers that are Lord of the Rings themed. Oh, yeah, I said it. It's cool. It's pretty awesome. You should totally do it. It's fun. All right, enough promoting of that kind of stoof. So, if you've been following me on the Facebook, which I know Solomon does, because Solomon's awesome. He just does that. So, I see you, Solomon. I appreciate your likes and partial subscribes. I really do. But if you've been following along where I'm at, yesterday I put out a post that I felt was really appropriate, because last week I shared about some of the struggle that I've been facing in like doing Walk to Mordor, specifically fundraising, because fundraising is like the F word that's not a fun word in ministry typically. And it's also dependent on how you approach it, how you're going about seeing it and stuff like that. We honestly are looking at partner development is the way we're doing it. Me and Colin, my executive director, are talking on that. Like, how are we doing this event, not just as like a fundraiser, but also a development of partners and stuff like that too. How are we maintaining those connections? It's really good questions, but it can be a lot. Like, it's a month of, well, in all honesty, it's actually 2 months, because like you do half of March in some case and half of May of follow-up for this month-long event of connecting and sharing stories, sharing people's stories and who they are and why they're even participating. It can feel like an uphill battle, and you're doing a whole lot. You're doing a lot of things, and I know we talked about Exodus 14:14 last week and how that hit me, and you got to see Wilson choke up, so you're welcome. But this weekend, as you know, I battled some not so coolness. I'm still recovering. I feel like I'm very congested, so I'm still working on clearing this part of like my head just entirely. But like, this is the thing about it, right? Like that's just what we do. That's how we do things, how we get at life. And so the Saturday I was crazy busy, just connecting with kids, doing stuff. There was another situation that came up with youth that we were investing in, taking care of. And Sunday I was like flat on my butt. Like, I couldn't do anything Sunday. It was rough. So I thought, oh, okay, so like I'll hard crash today, and then Monday I'll get up and I'll be fine and stuff. Nope. that Monday was almost worse than Sunday. So it was like, okay. So, okay, Tuesday. Because I got stuff to do. I got peeps to connect with and stuff like that. Like, come on, man. And even Tuesday, like, just laid out flat, just felt like I couldn't do much. It was just rough. And it's been this whole trust kind of thing, right? Like, this whole thing where I've been leaning on God and be like, God, I do this every year, and I'm trusting in you to take care of what we are doing, to keep us going, so that we can keep on doing this, not for the sake of look at how amazing Wilson is, but for honestly for the sake of going, look how amazing God is. Like, look at all the connections that you can make toward God in different fandom, nerdom, in genres and stuff like that. That's why we do. But then also, like, seeing the community. As soon as I let people know that I wasn't doing well, I had people like, hey man, thinking about you, praying about you. Oh, that sucks, man. Like, we got your back. Just take it easy. Learning to rest. Yeah, that's the thing that I still have a hard time, is understanding what is rest. How does that look like, and things like that. And again, you guys are probably like, Wilson, just get to your point. But like, I elaborated yesterday how I'm just getting back into the swing of things. And even doing the walk yesterday, I was like, whoo, like, sheesh. It's a lot of extra effort. It's a lot of push. It's a lot of drive. And like, you just kind of feel like, I feel fatigued thinking about it already. It's sad that I'm already like, oh, and then after this, I gotta walk. But when I was walking, I don't typically just only put on worship music. I usually listen to something else to process my head, to center prayers during that time. But I just had worship music on. And this round of music was just like, oh, God, like, you're setting like a pace about this. You're setting like, no, you're facing something right now. And part of it was The Battle Belongs to You. I believe it's Phil Wickham that does that one. And then like I Speak Jesus, which is very much like a authority, a drive. Like, when I say Jesus' name, I'm putting it out there, not just like kind of loosely. It's like, no, we're gonna speak out against certain things. And some of you who may be coming from a little bit more reserved backgrounds, or reformed backgrounds, are kind of like, Mike, you're going a little Pentecostal on me. And I in all honesty, yeah, I kind of am. And it's not just because I'm from a Pentecostal denomination at this point. By the way, I totally appreciate all denominations and what they throw down. As long as you're not heretical, we're fine. I think there's bits of every denomination that we need. Because imagine, we're the body of Christ, and we're supposed to be unified together. And even in our differences, we still point to Jesus. Imagine that. And it's like we covered that in the X-Men topic a while back. Weird. It's like it's all connected. You can challenge me on that, but I appreciate that. Anywho, but I got into this, like, there was a lot of battle song and language and processing, and there were some things that I needed to lay down to God. Like, again, trusting that, God, I know I have a limited time, but really, God, you're the one who's providing in the middle of this. Yeah, I'm taking a huge step in going into this ministry that, to some people would be like, dude, you're nuts. Like, what are you doing? And I get that. Like, I question that sometimes myself. But literally, there's this battle, this fear, this questioning. And it made me think, how do we handle these fights? How do we handle and go about these things and processing these fights? And of course, we're in Lord of the Rings, so I'm thinking about, like, what are the major fights? What are the things that really create the biggest shift in things? Because I love Sam, but Sam has not done any major fights other than legitimately over the ring at the end. But, you know, that's at the end. So, of course, that's the climactic one. The one that we're all like, the ring is going to get destroyed. Stuff like that. And there were two examples I thought of. But the one that's the biggest one, and most of you nerds are like, oh, yeah, I get it. And especially if you read the post, you're like, okay, Mike, we know where you're going. Just do it. Just say it. You gotta put up with me, guys. I am so sorry. I feel like I'm a squirrel most days, and that's on good days. But here's the thing. This is the moment. Like, most nerds are like, this is the thing that I look forward to in watching in Lord of the Rings. I'll admit, this is like my favorite moment in Fellowship of the Ring. Because there's nothing so overt as spiritual warfare as, you know, the wizard dude fighting a shadow black or dark fire demon thing. Like, it's so there. It's ridiculous, right? Like, it's just... Come on, guys. Like, look at this thing. Look at this thing. You don't just wake up and go, oh, yeah, I'm going to face that. You know, that's like, whatever. Shrug it off, kind of thing like that. And the reason why I want to bring this up and really kind of sit on this for a bit is because this dude Gandalf, if you've been tracking, you know, Gandalf, if you're a huge fan of Lord of the Rings, you're just... This is new. This is no new information for you. But for the newbies, hey, got your back. Gandalf is one of these Maiar. So he's essentially like a partial god that has been sent from one region of the world to Middle Earth to fight against Sauron, right? Who's the really bad dude that all of Middle Earth is having to face, and all this kind of stuff brings the world into darkness, right? His whole purpose is to take down Sauron. And he had another buddy of his, who we know is Saruman, who kind of turned out to be a punk and go for the other side because he was drawn by the power that Sauron had. And he's like, yo, I can handle. Let's do this. Let's go. Stuff like that. But like, the thing in the process, before this fight even happened, and after the whole Gandalf gets sent from one world to another kind of stuff like that, Gandalf knows there's an issue as soon as this ring comes into view, right? Like, this ring of power, to the point where he's taking, like, years, like a good decade or so, trying to make sure the ring that Bilbo has is the actual ring that's causing all this crap. But the problem is, in the midst of doing all that, guess who else is working? The baddies, right? Like, this is where all, like, the armies from Mount Doom, like, Mordor is building up, and they're ready to, like, get up, own the rest of the world, kind of stuff like that. So Gandalf is realizing, oh, there's a... Solomon, you are not cheering for Sauron. You are not doing... Well, then I guess you gotta especially pay attention to this, Solomon. Yeah, I said it. Oh, hello, Slack Sobs. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Hope this is encouraging and enlightening for you and growing. Anywho, when we're talking about Gandalf here, he's dealing with that problem. Then he's got to get a group of people that are willing to take said ring to Mordor and destroy it, which is almost like pulling teeth to figure that out. But he gets 8 other individuals. Okay, we're good. We're fine. Now they got to get there. But every time that they get there, there's another problem that comes up, and another problem that comes up, and another problem. Like, you're feeling the weight that Gandalf's going on, right? And he doesn't want to go to Moria because he knows there's something down there that was discovered, and, like, you tip the wrong guy off, things are going to go south real quick. Yeah. Spoiler alert. They tip him off. It's this guy. It's the big baddie. It's the Balrog. It is as scary as it looks. I'm not exactly going to say I would have clean pants if this guy decided to show up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would be... yeah. Not cool or not be chill, as I would like to think. And yet here's Gandalf, right? He's tired. He's been running. He's been trying to organize this. He's trying to fight the evil that he knows he's supposed to do. And then he's confronted with about the biggest baddie that he's ever had to fight in his life. Like, this is not like your lightweight stuff. I appreciate how even in Fellowship of the Ring, when you watch the different people's expressions, right? When they hear this, like, growling in the dark and this light shimmering down the hall, and you have, like, the humans like, what is this new devilry, right? Legolas is, like, the kind of guy, he's been around for thousands of years. Like, legitimately can't die unless he's killed. That's the thing about elves. They're just boss that way. Or they give up their lives and choose to give up the gift of immortality. Anywho, when he hears it, he goes, oh, crap. Like, you feel the tension's just like, I can't, I can't. Like, you feel everyone else just go, how do we do this, right? And another cool moment in that situation when they're running away from Balrog and trying to run away from the goblins and orcs that are in there and stuff like that. Aragorn's like, why don't we stand and fight? Like, why don't we push back? Let's figure it out. And Gandalf tells off Aragorn. And it's just like, your swords have no use here anymore. And it's just like, ooh. Like, you just told the guy who's the promise of all humanity and the guy who we're looking at as the QB for essentially Middle Earth, you told him essentially he can't do anything. Eesh. And then they get to the Bridge of Khazad-dûm. We know the big moment. Balrog's out there for a full display. The Fellowship's safely on the other side and going, but they're waiting for Gandalf because that's what a true party does, people. Yeah, I'm looking at all you RPG, D&D peeps. You stick around with the party members. You help them. Just do the right thing. Anywho, and Gandalf stands there and just simply says, you will not pass. I guarantee you at that moment, he's like, yeah, last guy who fought a Balrog. In fact, let's find this out, guys. We're gonna learn something together. How... Not hop. How long was it that there was someone, I can type, I promise, someone who fought Balrog before Gandalf? Let's get nerdicated together. Sure, that one. Well, that's okay. That's great that he fought for 3 days. No. There was a guy that fought Durin. Yeah, that's the guy. Durin's Bane. He's a bad dude. Really, really big baddie. Okay, by the looks of it, it had been like almost 300 years before. Yeah. Yeah, that's a little nuts. This big bad boss dude has been causing more problems all throughout that time. But like the last guy who successfully took down was like 300 years prior, or tried to take down this guy. So like, ooh, rough. And here's Gandalf just like, no, you're not allowed to go through. But this is what he actually says. Not just, you shall not pass. He does something different here, guys. And I've done research on this. I'll do a very brief description on this, and then we'll get into our Bible dive here. I'm the servant of the secret fire, wielder of the flame of Anor. You cannot pass. The dark fire will not avail you, flame of Undun. Go back to the shadow. Still gives me chills every time I say it. I'm gonna try and say it, but a little bit more dramatic. I am the servant of the secret fire, wielder of the flame of Arnor. You cannot pass. The dark fire will not avail you. Flame of Undun, go back to the shadow. It's so good. Like, man, tempted to get a tattoo like that. That would be, like, so good, right? Because it's amazing. It's an awesome moment. He's saying that while holding his cool, like, wizard staff and does the cool glowy thing. And it's just like, okay. So Gandalf is a light bright right now. Just, he's pre-lightsaber. Just saying. And he's fighting this thing off. He's pushing it back. And, of course, we have the bridge crumble. Sad, awkward moment. Gandalf barely holds on. Gets ripped down. And he just chooses to fall and go, I'm going to fight big boss, dude. You keep going. Get out of here. And, again, it's not known for sure that the dude's going to win. Poor belt. You're seriously cheering for the belt? Like, I get he looks boss, but, like, my man. No, like, look at that. That's terrifying. That comes at me. Good grief, sir. Solomon, I appreciate you as a human being. That's what I gotta say. Really do. Anywho, when Gandalf says this quote, right? He says, identifying things. I'm a servant of the secret fire, wielder of the flame of Anor. When he's saying this, right? The secret fire, in at least Tolkien lore, so yes, we're going to do some more LOTR nerding out here, people. Thank you for joining in. He's talking about, essentially, the flame of creation. Like, Anor is one of these, again, spiritual beings, things from the other side of this world that Middle-earth is part of. And Anor is like one of the creation gods. It's the purity kind of god, the sustainer of all things, and has done this kind of stuff like that. But this Udun, was like a twisted form of this. It was like a lesser kind of being, and it was tainted. It was not the same kind of flame. It was not the righteous kind of thing like that. So when you see Gandalf standing off, he's actually kind of claiming connection, right? He's a servant of the secret fire. So he's like, I know the dude who created everything, and he's the wielder of the flame of Anor. So he's a servant of the secret fire. So this is another being that's even more authoritative. But then wielder of the flame of Anor, this powerful flame, this thing that's overpowering, is what he's throwing down. He's trash talking the guy. And essentially he's going, yo, this is my credentials. This is not going to go well. Because I'm just saying no. Now, of course, he's facing this thing. He doesn't want to face it because it's Balrog. Like, but then he goes, the dark fire will not avail you, flame of wound. Like, it's just kind of like, yo, your dark power is weak sauce, man. It's weak. It's like weak tea. Barely anything there. Like, what is this? Psh. Go back to the shadow. Like, mind your own business, child. Like, kind of stuff like that. Like, the amount of trash. No wonder why the Balrog's like, okay, I'm taking the old fart. We're going to do this right here, right now kind of vibe. And that's what happens, right? Like, Gandalf's thrown down. They fight for 3 days. He summons lightning into his sword, stabs the Balrog, and destroys him on a mountain. Like, my guys, come on. They go from bridge to giant chasm of water to then up on the mountain peak. And, like, crazy everywhere he's just going. And you're like, dude, like, what the heck? And then the thing about Gandalf, he dies, right? Shocker. Sorry, spoilers to all y'all who don't know. You just need to watch the series. I'm just telling you. It's all explained in Two Towers. But it's way more explained in the extensions. Just saying. Extended versions, always better. But he goes into, like, a different plane of reality. And the way that I've heard it described is really that's just he went back to the Maiar. And the Maiar are like, hey man, you're not done your job yet. Like you did real good. You fought against the Balrog. You took it down. Kudos. Good stuff. Yeah, that Sauron dude still needs to be dealt with. And now that we got Saruman causing more problems, you really needed. So we're gonna send you, but you're gonna be like leveled up, like boss mode leveled up. So then he comes back as Gandalf the White, which is all about association of power as well as purity and strength and what he's doing and stuff like that. It's just kind of like, dang, right? The only other person that comes back from like a near-death scenario, at least from what we see in the stories and movies, is Aragorn when he falls off the cliff, right? Like, you're just like, oh, shoot. The one hope for humanity, the one dude that's decent, and oh, flip. And he comes back with like a vengeance, a mindset like, the orcs are gonna die now. They tried to kill me. It was not cool. It was annoying. Didn't stick. Didn't like it. It's just like this upgrade level. And so this is where I'm leading into the Bible talk, because I said I would do that, and I'm already in with too much nerdum. So sorry, but also not sorry. If you guys have checked out at all Adam Paul's article on, radical love that was with Goku, and if you love that, you're gonna love his prior one that he had going on. Yes, I am gonna promo the heck out of this because our man Adam, he's the bomb. Okay. Give him some love, give him some hypes. But he wrote another one, Facing Titans. And this was all about how we actually look at the idea of David and Goliath, right? And let's be honest, Gandalf and Balrog, not too far off on this kind of idea, right? Because let's substitute Balrog for Goliath. Because they were both huge, both giant, both menacing, both like hokey dyna, crap your pants as soon as you see him. Sorry, probably not internet friendly to say crap your pants, but I just did now twice. Gandalf could be standing in for David. Now David is clearly supposed to be a young man versus Gandalf, an old wizard. It's a little different, but it just feels like there's definitely a power struggle that just doesn't make sense. That why would even Gandalf even try? But what David does is very similar to what Gandalf does, or at least Gandalf does is similar to what David does. When you look at scripture, and this is like back in 1 Samuel, haha, I know where I'm talking. I know what I'm referring to. Y'all are like, I don't know about Wilson. He's different. I am different, and I'm okay with that. Here it is. Yeah, here it is. 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 45. Get ready for this. Then David said to the Philistine, by the way, he's talking to Goliath, whom before that essentially was trash talking, is like, who's this punk kid who says that he's gonna, like, who's here to fight me and stuff like that. Like really trash talking this little dude, and he's been trash talking the Israelite people's God, right? Like literally going like, your God is just like useless. And this is the thing that like ticks David off. Like he hears about this Philistine, he's like, I'm ready, like, let's go, son. And he does. So, verse 45. Then David said to the Philistine, you come to me with a sword and with a spear and with a javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts. Oh, that sounds familiar. The God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defiled. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hand. I will strike you and take your head from you. And this day I will give the carcass of the camp of the Philistines to the birds of the air and the beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. Then all this assembly shall know that the Lord does not save with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands. like, essentially, this was like trash talk, A+ grade. Like, quality. Chandler Bing couldn't handle this kind of insult thrown back at him. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the kind of stuff that you're like, dude, like, you can calm down. Do you not see how huge this guy is? And of course, that's what happens, right? Philistine Goliath charges at David. David Stone, awkward, dead moment, X's over eyes, and then lobs off the dude's head, which, by the way, would have been huge. Like, it wouldn't have been like, oh, like Wilson's side. It would have been like huge, like ginormous. And the sword itself was like, think of an Odachi, but like 3 times heavier. Just saying. Like, this is the confidence that David has in God. This is the focus that he has on God. And we always, again, jump to this whole idea of like, oh, well, we're supposed to be like David. I appreciate what Adam put down in his thing here, in facing the Titans. And what he is saying is that, no, here's the thing. You're not David. David is a forerunner for one person, Jesus, the son of David. I'm not suggesting that this story has nothing to do with you. Goliath is a stand-in for our sin. But the one taking him down is Jesus, not us. Like, right there, guys. Right there. Just saying. That's the spot that you want to read that and stuff like that. Who are we in the story? We're the cowardly Israelites. We're freaking out and stuff like that. Just like we're the punk people in the back in AOT. It's sad. We just don't talk. It's awkward. So, yeah, again, face it. Adam Paul, great writing. You should read all of his articles. They're fantastic. Anywho, that's David, right? That's where he stands at 100%, Solomon. Number 1. Top tier. But this is the thing that we need to be looking at this with Balrog, right? And let's really sit on this with Jesus. So, one of my favorite passages, and the reason why I say this is one of my favorite passages is because it just outright just deals with the spiritual climate of how Jesus handles things, right? And you're likely to know what this connection is. It's Luke chapter 8, and we're specifically looking at verses 26. Do I want to go all the way to the end of this story? I think we're just gonna go to 33. Yeah, sure. We'll do that. We'll do it as we read. So, Luke chapter 8, verse 26. Then they sailed to the country of the Gadarenes, which is opposite of Galilee. This is the disciples and Jesus. And when he stepped out on the land, there met him a certain man from the city who had demons for a long time. And he wore no clothes, nor did he live in a house, but in tombs. When he saw Jesus, he cried out, fell down before him, and with a loud voice said, "What have I to do with you, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I beg you, do not torment me." For he commanded the unclean spirit to come out of the man. For it had often seized him, and he was kept under guard, bound with chains and shackles. And he broke the bonds, and was driven by the demon into the wilderness. Jesus asked him, saying, "What is your name?" And he said, "Legion," because many demons had entered him. And they begged him that he would not command them to go out into the abyss. Now a herd of many swine was feeding there on the mountain. So they begged him that he would permit them to enter them. And he permitted them. Then the demons went out of the man and entered the swine, and the herd ran violently down the steep place into the lake and drowned. So this is kind of weird, right? You might be like, what? Huh? The reason why I bring this up is that this is like spiritual warfare immediately, right? And if you read prior, like Jesus is already dealing with some other spiritual climate things. Like he's sharing parables on what does it mean to have the good news spread? How do we share the good news? What's the climate of that good news coming into people's lives? how is him revealing the truth to other people. The very idea that he doesn't look at identification of brother and sister as just purely biological, but actually an association to how they're connected with God and alignment with God's vision and goal and stuff like that, which is, man, challenging, especially in a culture that was very much all about family ties and was like, dude, why you got to take care of family and stuff like that. Here, before the demon possessed man was the wind and the waves, like when Jesus is just kind of doing his own thing, right? Like he's just telling disciples, we got to go over to the other side and stuff like that. So you take care of it. They're going over to the other side, but there's just a giant windstorm. And these are like fisher dudes. These dudes know what it's like to face like some pretty hardcore winds. But it's to the point where they're like, dude, we are so dead. Like, what the heck? And Jesus is just like chilling. He's sleeping. He's doing his own thing. And it's like, what the heck? Don't you care that we're going to die, Jesus? Like, you dense? And she's like, oh man, okay, sure, okay. Wind, waves, cool it. Like, just, like, quiet down. And it just stopped. And you have the disciples go, what? Pardon? And he's just like, dude, why don't you have more faith? Like, you've been, okay. Like, it's just kind of like he does his own business again. And they're just like, who's this guy that, like, the nature itself is, like, willing to shut their mouths and, like, behave and stuff like that. It's just mind-blowing, right? Sorry, this is a whole lot of Mike Wilson version. I'm sure we'll have it available at some point. So Jesus is the Avatar. You're not wrong, Solomon. Really, he is the Avatar. And he just doesn't have a weird blue arrow tattooed on his head. So far that we can know of. That's never been claimed in the Bible. I'm just saying. That would also be very different. I feel like that would, yeah. Yeah, I can't, yeah, that wouldn't work. Anywho. So back to the demon-possessed dude, right? We're already seeing God's authority over all things. Just like Gandalf has had authority and capacity to do different things. Like, he's a wizard. He has really intense knowledge. He's also one of the Maiar. So, like, he's already an ultra-powerful dude. And he's leading this group to fight against what is seemingly an undefeatable evil. So that's how they're linked up in that way. And now, I'm going to obviously point out the connection. Gandalf dies fighting. Like, he dives down, he fights, and then he dies, but he comes back. Jesus, he dies, but the thing is, as, like, some of you already know, diving into it, Jesus comes back and, like, shows even more supremacy and authority. Not that he didn't have the supremacy and authority, but now he had conquered death. Like, full demonstration of, like, yeah, death didn't stick, man. Wasn't the plan anyways for it to stick. So, my crew, you've got the same capacity when you're affiliated with me. And we've talked about different passages in the past of how we've got authority only because Jesus is authority, right? When Jesus sends out his disciples, sends out the 12, right? He's talking about the authority that he has given them to cast out demons and all this. But it's only because of the authority that he gives them. Okay? Like, hear that again. The only reason why the disciples have any form of authority, the only reason why you have any form of authority to do the same kind of thing that, like, Gandalf fights with a Balrog, is only because of Jesus. Like, we have no true power or authority. When we saw that David was stepping in to fight Goliath, again, that was a representation of how Christ handles sin. He's the one who brings it down. He's the one who brings ultimate authority. Jesus is the one who will do that. We are the ones who are scared to face it. We are the rest of the fellowship going, oh, shoot, we can't do much. But when we have this authority, and again, Gandalf says it so well, I am the servant of the secret fire, wielder of the flame of Anor. He's talking about his connections to something even bigger than him, which, again, Maiar, there's like only a couple of steps above Maiar. So, like, already high credentials, and he goes, oh, no, like, even higher ups, I'm connected to them. You're done, son. We're going to get this figured out. When you have that connection with Jesus, when you are affiliated with Jesus, it's not your power, it's not your authority, it's not at all the things that make you amazing. Guys, I'm no different than you. I mess up. I freak out over things. I worry about different stuff. Whoa, hello. Welcome, long-term Meth. Appreciate you joining in and hearing us out and connecting with us and following us. Hope you enjoy. But it's not us that is going to be victorious on it. It's actually Jesus. It's the connection of Jesus. It's the cool thing that when Jesus throws down and asks, what's your name? Yes, what's your name? And then they're freaking out. They say we're legion because there's many of us. So already you should be like, oh, this isn't just one. This is like pretty big, stuff like that. Sorry about that. Anywho. No, like it's just Jesus comes in and he's the one who identifies it, right? And the thing the demon freaks out more is about Jesus's actual authority. The demons know who Jesus is. And in another part of this, if you go to Mark, he tells Legion, hey, you be quiet, shut it, kind of stuff like that. It's just like, boss, like tells him, no, that's not for you to let other people know. But the thing that they're freaking out is like, this guy actually has authority over me. This guy's going to do some stuff. They're begging Jesus not to send them to the abyss, which the abyss is like the end destination for our spiritual beings that are not working alongside with Jesus, right? That's their end goal. They're going to be destroyed in the abyss. It's going to be it's brutal. And so Jesus, in a way of mercy, just like, fine, I'll take you out of this guy, but you go somewhere else and stuff like that. And it's just kind of weird. But, like, this is the authority that Jesus has. And so when we are praying alongside, and it's kind of funny that I'm bringing this up. So I brought my combat boots. You couldn't tell. I call them, they're not just my combat boots. My nickname for them are my Demon Slayer 3000s. Those of you who love Demon Slayer, hope you appreciate that. The reason for that is because, A, they're not just hefty, and yeah, they've got steel-toed and all that kind of stuff like that. So it feels like you're stomping demons. But the thing was, these boots were given at a point where I was pretty insecure. We didn't have a whole lot of stuff to be able to just get shoes, and I was being stubborn. Like, oh, I don't need winter boots. Like, I'm fine. Even though the shoes I had legit holes in them, and so I really did need them. And a person from our church donated these boots, and I was able to wear them. And as soon as I wore them, it was just like there was a security, there was a peace. And of course, I automatically connect them to Ephesians 6, talking about the armor of God and the shoes of the gospel of peace. But also, the shoes of the gospel of peace have cleats, metal hooks in them for a better grip, and also was kind of a little bit of an offensive thing. Like you could kick and cause some slashing. It was kind of messed up. So when I put these on this morning, because like, hey Mark, because it was me and Mark that were heading out the door. Hey, can I get my boots? And he goes, you mean your Demon Stomper 3000s? It's like, Yeah, bud. But do you know why they're called that? Of course, he goes, well, they're pretty thick. They got some metal stuff in them, so they're like super tough. It's like, yeah, it's more like the spiritual side of it. It's like when I wear them, it's a physical representation of like God's given me peace on that. So in that way, God has Jesus has reminded me of the authority that he has given me, but I only have that authority off of him. He's the one who brings peace into my life. He's the one who makes it so I don't have to be afraid where I step. Because as long as I'm following him, my feet are always covered. I'm always safe and enduring him and holding on to his message. And even when it's dark, when it's dismal, when I'm going to face a giant beast of a thing down the road, I know I've got his back and I can lean on that. And that's kind of how I've been facing it since, this whole recovery thing. And I told you guys this was all back to the story about like how I've been in recovery and really learning to trust and rely on God. But that's the thing on authority when you're leaning on God and you're saying you have authority through Jesus, you're really looking at the character of Jesus, you're trusting in it. And by saying that, you kind of do a self check. It's like, is this really for God's glory? Is this really working with Jesus? Because I need to make sure I'm right with him before I start claiming this whole, well, I'm with Jesus, right? Because Gandalf says he's a servant of the secret fire, wielder of the flame of Anor. So he's first a servant to the one who gives him the capacity for wielding this special flame that's different, that's better, that's stronger than what the Balrog has. Like, let's sit on that, guys. Let's hold on to that. Maybe you're fighting something and you honestly feel like it's a ginormous Balrog, and that's fine. We all have Balrogs in our lives, but you can't do it on your own. This is why we have an awesome community. This is why last week we talked about how we need our Sams, the guys who are willing to come alongside us in our journey and are willing to call us out on our stuff too. That's the thing I appreciate about Sam. He was willing to call out that some things were just wrong. The ones who are faithful among us. But may I encourage you that, you've got God who's there along with that, who's able to take out your Balrogs. And I'm not saying he's going to just outright one tap, that's it, kind of stuff like that. He comes alongside you in the journey. And the thing that I've really appreciated with me and my son reading more and more Narnia is seeing how with the character Aslan, who is supposed to represent Jesus, right? There's few times where Aslan does the direct thing and deals with the issue that's coming at the person, other than if it's the White Witch or it's an outside force that could like legitimately just own them. But typically Aslan's along in the journey and lets you process things. Process where you've been at. And one of my favorite ones is when Ashta, this was after shortly they had his name changed, but Ashta, who's riding this horse and he's trying to get to Kingdom to be able to warn them about this advancing bad group that's going to try and take them out, do a surprise attack, and it's all foggy, and he's lost his connection to the other group, and he just thinks, I may not get to them in time, and I will have let everyone down. And then there's this low growl kind of thing, and it's Aslan who's walking behind him, but he doesn't know who Aslan is. He thinks it's this terrible beast that's going to just destroy him. But the beast is there talking through his journey, talking about how he's been there with him and stuff like that. And eventually Ashta does come to realize it is Aslan. And then when he turns to see him, Aslan is this bright, glowing, beautiful thing that creates peace and warmth. And he's just blown away at it and just takes it in. And then as he's taking that in, Aslan turns to the dawn, and the fog that was once there is gone now, and he sees the path clearly and is able to get there just at the time when things are about to go crazy. So at the right time. But that's the kind of God that we have. The kind of God who's like a wizard, who's willing to face the Balrogs. But he also encourages you to come alongside. And he's giving you that authority that you don't have to be afraid of that Balrog either. He will defeat it. But he wants you to not be afraid of that either. He gives you the authority to be able to stand on that. But you got to remember, it's him that gives you the authority, not you that gives yourself that authority. So my challenge to you is list off your Balrogs. And then pray it through with God. Ask for him to be there with you in it. And it might be a word of encouragement that comes into mind. It might be a verse that's hitting you in your head or in your heart that comes up as an encouragement or guides you in how to confront that. If you ever need a chat, we've got our Discord community. Solomon definitely is a big encourager of that one. And we've got some awesome peeps like Solomon and others like Nuggets on our Wednesday crew who are there legitimately to pray, to invest, and stuff like that. And here we go. Solomon throws down another quote. I was excited. I'm like, Solomon throws down genius stuff. Do not fear the challenges of life, but approach them patiently with faith in God. He will reward your faith with power not only to endure, but also to overcome hardships, disappointments, trials, and struggles of daily living. Through diligently striving to live the law of God and with faith in him, he will not be diverted from our eternal course. We will not be diverted from our Rex D. Pinniger. Solomon, again, with all guys, Solomon just shows up and he throws down these quotes like they just are nothing. It's kind of unfair. Just saying. He's kind of amazing, though. I hope that was enriching for you. I hope you take that challenge. God's with you. God stands alongside you. Even when you feel down and out, he's fighting the Balrogs with you. The thing is, will you stand with him on it? And also, will you let him do it? Trust that you are not strong enough to do it. That he can face it for you. Cool? Cool. I'm going to pray, and then we're going to peace out from here, you wonderful human beings. Hallelujah. See, you get it. You understand. God, again, thank you for this time where we're able to dive into your word, to dive into analogies, connections that are with you. Thank you that you are our Gandalf. That you are the one that fights off Balrogs. And we might be the fearful part of the fellowship that's just like, holy snap. Like, how am I going to handle? How do I do this? Like, this thing is so much bigger than me. And God, thank you that we can trust and rely on you, that you are faithful, that you are good. That you are that secret fire. You are the one that surpasses so much. So help us to trust in that. And help us to remember that you have conquered over sin and death. That demons shake at your name. And we don't just say it loosely, but we need to know you. We need to get connected to you. We need to hold on to you. But then also remember, you've given us authority to be able to say to same demons, in the name of Jesus Christ, I command you to leave. You have no place in authority. I appreciate that he even called out their names. And typically when Jesus would call out the names of these demons, it was finding out, what was the trait or connections to these things. We got to remember the authority that we have. May we hold on to that and trust and rely on you in that. May we face the demons that are plaguing our minds and our hearts and our lives, not alone, but with you, and calling other people who follow you to help in that too. Let's face this together and do this. The fellowship that you have created, and the fellowship that you hold together. We ask this in your name. Amen. Cool, crew. I'm not going to lie. I can only hear out of this ear right now. So congestion's a thing. So continue to pray for my congestion. Continue to pray for my daughter. And pray, again, for Walk to Mordor. If you feel encouraged or supported in anything that's coming out of this, please consider sponsoring me in my walk. April's coming to an end soon. We still have next week and then a little bit. And then we are done April. That is crazy quick. And if you're also local, go back to the beginning of this video and check out the second breakfast event that we were having over at Zwick's Park. It's going to be a good time. Love you guys. Keep on nerding out. And remember, we can fight Balrogs with the ultimate white wizard. Later!